I'm Liam. I've done archery for a few years, and during the Olympics, lots of my friends were asking me questions about bows and why people shoot the way they do and what are the extra funny bits on the bows. So this is a very, very short version of the details I told them. And basically there are three types of bows. The simplest type of bow is a long bow, and that's what's been shot for thousands of years. Ooh, stock. You'll see what in a minute. And it's basically a stick with a string attached, and they're very simple. And that design has kind of evolved over the years to what's now called the recurve bow. It's the same principle, but the limbs or arms of the bow are kind of curled back on themselves, and that just allows it to store a lot more energy as you're drawing it back, and it makes it a little bit easier to shoot and a bit more accurate. That's what I'm going to be talking about mostly, and that's by far the most popular type of archery in the world. And there is one other type of bow called the compound bow, which is particularly popular in North America, and it's only been around for 10-15 years. And that uses cams and pulleys and cables to store a lot more energy when you're drawing the bow back, but for it still to be very easy to shoot. And that makes it very accurate, very fast, but it also makes it more expensive and more complicated to set up. And everything in archery is about consistency, and consistency is what gives you accuracy. And it doesn't really matter what your technique's like or how you shoot, as long as you do the same thing every time. So there's a bunch of extra things on the bow that will make the shots more consistent. So the most important one of all of them, which you'll see in a second, is the sight. That's with a lot of the extra bits that you'll see. But the key thing is the sight, and that allows you to point the bow in exactly the same direction every time, which is a good point of reference. But once you've got it pointing in the right direction, you want it to stay pointing in the right direction. So archers will add what are called stabilizers, and they're these long things you can see below, and they're basically sticks or rods with weights on the end. And for the few milliseconds as the bow is accelerating the arrow, it will naturally want to twist, lurch and move around. And those stabilizers will resist that movement just long enough for the arrow to leave the bow cleanly. And it increases accuracy and consistency dramatically. And once you've got the arrow going in the right direction, it's not quite enough because it needs to be going at the same speed every time as well. That's mostly dictated by how far back you draw the bow, and that needs to be consistent. So archers will use what's called a clicker, which is a little piece of metal that sits on top of the arrow. And when the archer gets to a very specific draw length, it just clicks off the front and gives a little audio signal that the right draw length has been achieved. Because even a few millimeters difference in how far you draw back can make inches of difference on the target, and when doing it competitively, it makes a big difference. The other thing that's quite important is how you interact with the bow, because you touch it with two hands. So the hand that pulls the string back would normally use a tab, which is a piece of leather that protects your fingers from the string. Modern ones have got a little plate on top that sits just under your chin, and make sure you're drawing the bow back to exactly the same place every time, which increases consistency. You can see a theme here. The hand that holds the bow will naturally, if you were to hold the bow, it'll twist it. There's no way of avoiding that really. So what archers will do instead is they'll use what's called a finger sling, which is a little piece of leather or cloth that attaches the bow to your hand. So as you shoot the arrow, your hand will remain lax, so you won't put any other forces on. So if you watch archery on TV, the bow will appear to fall out of the hand and kind of swing forward, and that's why you see that kind of behaviour. Arrows, they've come along quite a long way as well. So as with the rest of the bow, modern materials means it behaves very consistently, and different temperatures and humidities and things. And also thinner, which means they go off faster and don't get affected by the wind as much. But the fletchings that you get on the back of arrows are also designed to spin the arrow in a specific, consistent way, and that allows it to stabilise as it's flying, and it flies straighter and is more consistent. That's kind of the point of it. Most people, not most, but a lot of people have done archery when they're kids and stuff as well. Or if you're interested in doing it again, there's loads of clubs, it's very popular all over the place. And if you want any more details on equipment or anything, grab me afterwards. Craddock.